The day began like any other at Apalachee High School, with the sun casting a warm glow over the campus. Students shuffled through the hallways, their backpacks slung over their shoulders, chatting about homework and weekend plans. Laughter echoed through the corridors, a symphony of youthful exuberance. The smell of freshly sharpened pencils hung in the air, mingling with the scent of new textbooks. It was a normal Tuesday, filled with the promise of learning and friendship. Until it wasn't. At precisely 10:14 a.m., the tranquility was shattered. Gunshots, loud, sharp, terrifying, they pierced the morning calm. They ripped through the air, echoing through the school's normally peaceful halls. Panic ensued, chaos erupted. The date will forever be etched in the annals of Apalachee High School and the small town of Winder, Georgia, September 4, 2024. A day of infamy, a day that began with the promise of learning and camaraderie transformed into a scene of unimaginable horror and heartbreak. A lone gunman, a student himself, had opened fire inside the school, forever changing the lives of countless students, teachers, and families. The community would never be the same. The air, once filled with the anticipation of a new school day, now reeked of gunpowder and fear, a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. The ear-splitting sound of gunshots sent shockwaves through the school. Students and teachers alike froze, their eyes wide with terror. Then, instinct took over. Screams filled the hallways as students scrambled for cover. Some ran for their lives, their hearts pounding in their chests. Others hid under desks, in closets, anywhere they could find a semblance of safety. Teachers trained for this very scenario sprang into action. They barricaded doors with whatever they could find, desks, chairs, even their own bodies. Frantic calls were placed to 911, each ring a desperate plea for help. Inside classrooms huddled together in the darkness, students and teachers clung to each other. Their whispers a mix of prayers and silent tears. The minutes stretched into an eternity as they waited, trapped in a nightmare, the sound of sirens growing closer. Within minutes, the first responders arrived, police cars, ambulances, fire trucks. Their sirens wailed, a symphony of urgency cutting through the morning air. Heavily armed officers, their faces grim, stormed the school, their training kicking in. They moved swiftly and methodically, securing hallways, searching for the shooter, their every move a delicate balance between caution and speed. Paramedics, their faces etched with concern, prepared to treat the wounded. Outside the school, a chaotic scene unfolded. Parents, their faces pale with worry, rushed to the scene, desperate for news of their children. The air crackled with tension and fear as they waited, their hopes clinging to every passing police car, every ambulance that sped away.
It all happened so fast,
said Sarah, a sophomore, her voice trembling as she spoke to reporters.
1 minute we were laughing in the hallway, the next, we were running for our lives.
John, a history teacher, described the moment he heard the gunshots.
I knew instantly what it was. My first thought was to protect my students. We barricaded the door and huddled in the corner. It felt like an eternity until the police arrived.
These first-hand accounts, raw and emotional, provided a glimpse into the terror and bravery that unfolded within the school walls. They served as a stark reminder of the human toll of gun violence, the indelible scars left on those who witnessed its horror. Section 5, 4 Lives Lost, a community mourns. As the dust settled, a heartbroken community learned the devastating news. 4 students, 4 young lives full of promise, were gone. Their names, etched in the hearts of their loved ones, became tragically synonymous with the senseless act of violence that took them away. There was Emily, the aspiring artist with a contagious laugh. There was Michael, the star athlete with dreams of going pro. There was Jessica, the bookworm who dreamed of becoming a writer. And there was David, the quiet kid with a passion for music. Their futures, once bright and full of possibility, were cruelly cut short. Their absence left a gaping hole in the heart of Apalachee High School, a void that would never be filled. Section 6, 9 lives hang in the balance, the fight for survival. While the community mourned the loss of 4 young souls, 9 other victims clung to life in area hospitals. The wounded, ranging in age from 15 to 18, bore the physical and emotional scars of the shooting. Some suffered from gunshot wounds, their bodies riddled with bullets. Others sustained injuries in the chaotic scramble for safety. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly, battling to save each life, their faces etched with a mix of determination and heartbreak. Families and friends kept vigil at their bedsides, their hopes and prayers intertwined with the beeping of monitors and the hushed whispers of medical staff. The fight for survival was far from over, each heartbeat a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Section 7. A community in mourning, vigils, tributes, and calls for change. In the wake of the tragedy, the town of Winder, Georgia was united in grief. The sense of loss was palpable as the community came together to mourn the lives that were tragically cut short. The community rallied around the victims and their families, offering support, comfort, and a shoulder to cry on. Neighbors, friends, and even strangers found solace in each other's presence, creating a network of emotional support. Candlelight vigils were held, the flickering flames a symbol of hope and remembrance. These gatherings provided a space for collective mourning and reflection, as the soft glow of candles illuminated the night. Students, teachers, and community members gathered, their shared grief a powerful testament to the impact of the tragedy. The school community in particular felt the weight of the loss as they came together to support one another. They shared stories, offered prayers, and vowed to honor the memory of those lost by working to prevent future tragedies. The collective resolve to make a difference was evident as voices united in a call for change. The outpouring of support extended beyond the borders of Winder, as messages of condolence and offers of assistance poured in from across the country. People from all walks of life reached out, showing that compassion knows no boundaries. The tragedy at Apalachee High School had touched a nerve, reminding the nation of the devastating consequences of gun violence. It sparked a national conversation, urging communities everywhere to take action and prevent such heart-wrenching events from happening again. Section 8, the aftermath. Picking up the pieces and looking for answers. In the days and weeks that followed the shooting, the community grappled with the enormity of the tragedy. Students and staff returned to a school forever changed, their once familiar hallways now imbued with a haunting silence. Counselors and therapists were on hand, providing much-needed support and guidance as students and staff navigated the complex emotions of grief, trauma, and fear. The investigation into the shooting continued, with authorities working tirelessly to piece together the events that led to the tragedy. They searched for answers, for a motive, for something that could make sense of the senseless. The community too sought answers, demanding to know how such a horrific event could have happened in their small town. Section 9, School Safety in the Spotlight, a debate reignited. The shooting at Apalachee High School reignited the national debate on school safety. Parents, educators, lawmakers, and community leaders grappled with the question of how to protect students and staff from the threat of gun violence. Some called for increased security measures such as metal detectors, armed guards, and fortified entrances. Others argued that these measures would turn schools into fortresses, creating a climate of fear and distrust. The debate extended beyond physical security, encompassing issues of mental health, social media, and the availability of guns. It was a complex and multifaceted issue with no easy answers, but the tragedy at Apalachee High School served as a stark reminder of the urgent need to find solutions. Section 10. A nation grapples with gun violence. How many more tragedies? The shooting at Apalachee High School was a tragedy, but it was not an isolated incident. It was one of countless acts of gun violence that plagued the United States, a country where mass shootings have become a horrifyingly familiar occurrence. The nation mourned with Winder, Georgia, but the question remained, how many more tragedies would it take before meaningful action was taken? The debate raged on, fueled by grief, anger, and a growing sense of urgency. Some demanded stricter gun control measures, while others clung to their Second Amendment rights. The issue became increasingly polarized, a political football tossed back and forth with little regard for the human cost. Section 11. A call for action, honoring the victims by protecting the living. In the aftermath of the Apalachee High School shooting, one thing was clear. The status quo was unacceptable. The community was left in shock, grappling with the loss and the harsh reality that change was desperately needed. The time for thoughts and prayers was over. The nation needed action. Vigils and memorials, while important, were not enough to prevent future tragedies. This meant addressing the root causes of gun violence, from mental health to poverty to the proliferation of firearms. It required a comprehensive approach, tackling each issue with the seriousness it deserved. It meant finding common ground, bridging the political divide, and putting the safety of children above all else. Leaders from all walks of life needed to come together, united by a common goal. The victims of Apalachee High School deserve to be remembered not just for how they died, but for how they lived. Their lives were full of promise, dreams, and aspirations that were tragically cut short. They deserve to have their stories told, their dreams honored, and their memories cherished. Each victim had a unique story, a life that touched many others. And most importantly, they deserve to be the last names added to the ever-growing list of gun violence victims. The cycle of violence needed to end. The call for action echoed across the nation, a demand for change, a plea for a safer future. Communities everywhere were united in their demand for reform. The question was, would anyone listen? Would the voices of the affected communities be heard, and would meaningful change finally be enacted?